everybody, Bonebuster72 here again. I want to talk to you about food. Food for an emergency situation. I'm not going to talk about how to store food, how to can it, how to put it in Mylar bags and buckets. Instead, I want to be more general and talk about planning and maybe some of the things that you would want to have in your food storage. So if you've seen my other videos, you know that I break things down by time. Short-term, intermediate-term, and long-term events. I find it easier to plan this way. Let's start out with short-term. Short-term is anywhere from 1 to 7 days. It's the most likely event to happen. It happens all the time. Most people have a week's worth of food in their house, even if they don't know it. When you combine your refrigerator, freezer, and your dry goods in your pantry, you probably have at least a week's worth of food. If there's an emergency, you'll want to eat the food in your refrigerator first, followed by your freezer, and finally your dry goods. If the emergency situation requires you to leave your house, you're going to need food in your bug-out bag. Now there are a couple of options to make sure you have enough food in your bug-out bag. I'm going to tell you about a couple of them, and I'm going to tell you some positives and some negatives. So MREs are a great choice. They're convenient. You don't have to heat them up. Some of them come with a heater and they taste a whole lot better if you heat them up, but they don't have to be. Some of the drawbacks of MREs, they're really expensive. They're also heavy. Imagine 7 days worth of MREs. It takes up a lot of space and it weighs a lot. Also, some people have a little bit of digestive problems after eating a few of them. Another option is the freeze-dried food. You know the stuff. You can find it in most outdoor sporting goods stores. It's used for hiking and camping and that sort of thing. The great thing about that stuff, it's really lightweight, it has a really long shelf life, and they taste pretty good too. Now the drawback is you're going to need more water, and you're going to have a way to boil that water, which means a fire. So what's the best answer? I think it's a combination of the two. I think having 3 MREs per person, that way you have 1 day's worth of meals that you don't have to heat up or prepare in any way if you can't. I also think the rest of your meals should be the freeze-dried. That way you have the lightweight convenience in your packed bag. That takes us to intermediate term events. These are events that last 7 to 90 days. These events happen all the time too. Think Katrina, Sandy, things like that. For the intermediate term events, you're going to need things like canned grains, your oats, wheat, white rice. Also, possibly freeze-dried vegetables and a protein source. I think canned and freeze-dried is the best option for this. Some of the freeze-dried and canned goods have a 30-year shelf life. Now all these items can be supplemented with regular canned items like soup and canned vegetables, but keep in mind it's not going to have nearly the shelf life, so you're going to have to rotate through those things and replace them often. That gets us on to long-term. Long-term is anywhere from 90 to 365 plus days. If you have the space to store more grains and more of the freeze-dried items, this is probably your best bet. At least a year's worth. 2 is even better. I know a lot of people have storage problems. I know I do. Some people at this point go so far as to homesteading or raising cattle and livestock to provide food for your family. Both of these are going to require a fixed location, and I would highly encourage, if you're interested in that, definitely look into it. But I also think that you should have a seed vault, some sort of crop seeds, a couple of years worth to take with you wherever you end up. That way you'll be able to provide for yourself. So that takes care of the planning part of things, but I have a few other thoughts about food and food requirements during an emergency. First off, there's some people who say they're hunters, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to hunt for food for their family and provide that way. Now that's great, but I actually hear this all the time. So I have a question for you. If everyone's doing that, how long do you think the game is going to stick around? What are you going to do if the game moves into the deep wilderness? Are you willing to follow them? And do you really want to bet your family's lives on the availability of game? That doesn't mean I think you should discount hunting, fishing, and trapping. I think they're definitely good ways to supplement the food that you already have stored. But let's not forget the small animals, the rodents, the reptiles, things like that. Yeah, it may not sound very good, but it'll definitely help you survive, and there's a lot more of them than there are the big game. And all you need to take them down is probably a .22 or maybe even a rock. Now something else I hear often is, I have guns. I will do whatever it takes to help my family and provide for them, even if it means taking food from someone else. This is a horrible attitude. There are so many things wrong with this. First off, if you're willing to fight to take food from someone who stored it, don't you think they might be willing to fight to keep it? What do you do if someone in your family or yourself get wounded or killed? You said you'd be willing to do anything? Hey moron, how about you store some food now instead of trying to take it from me later? Anyway guys, this has been Food for for an emergency situation for the new and confused prepper. Let me know what you guys think of this video. I really want to know. I want to know if I'm on the right track. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Either way, tell me what's good, tell me what's bad, tell me what I can do to improve these videos, and what you want to hear in the future. Next time I'm going to talk about escape and transportation during an emergency situation. Until then, take care and be safe.